Good morning children, welcome to biology class. So we have been studying about tissues. In our previous class, we have studied about plant tissues, and in that more so particularly meristematic tissue. So today we will be studying about the second type of plant tissues, that is permanent tissue. So basically our topic is tissues. A tissue is a group of cells similar cells which perform a specific function. A group of similar cells. They are similar in structure and they perform a specific function. They are all united together, joined together, or combined together to perform a specific function. That type of a group of cells is called tissue. And tissues are present both in plants as well as in animals. All the living things have tissues, provided they are multicellular organisms. In unicellular organisms, the whole body is made up of only one cell, a single cell. So there is no question of tissues there. In multicellular organisms, these cells are grouped together to perform specific functions. It's a kind of division of labor. There are billions of cells in our body. All the cells do not have the same function. There are different types of cells present in our body or in a plant's body. They get together in small groups to perform specific functions. Such groups, a group of cells which get together to perform a specific function, are called as tissues. Now coming to plant tissues. Basically there are two types: meristematic tissue and permanent tissues. In our previous class, we have studied about this meristematic tissue in detail. What are the different types of meristematic tissue and what is their function. So today we will be studying details of permanent tissue. Permanent tissue name suggests this tissue is permanent in plant's body. This tissue will stay in the plant's body throughout its life. Meristematic tissue actually helps in the growth of the plant. When growth is attained after a particular period, this meristematic tissue gets converted into permanent tissue. So permanent tissue is present in the plant throughout its life. How this permanent tissue is further classified, we will study. Based on its structure, permanent tissue is classified into two types. Permanent tissue is of two types basically. Simple permanent tissue simple permanent tissue. The second type of permanent tissue is complex permanent tissue. Let's try to understand what are the two types of simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. By looking at their names, you can understand. Simple means the tissue is simple, that means all similar. Same type of tissue is present, same type of cells are present in a tissue, so they are called as simple permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissue, the name suggests, it's complex in the sense, though the cells perform similar function, they are all working for a specific function, there may be a combination of different types of cells. It's a complex of different types of cells which are getting together, are united together to perform basically the same function, complex permanent tissue. Let's try to understand one by one. First, let's try to understand what is simple permanent tissue. Again, for the sake of convenience of study, simple permanent tissue is further classified into three types. What are the three types? parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Simple permanent tissue, which is basically simple in structure, that means all the cells are similar in these tissues, is further classified into three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. These three types of simple permanent tissue have different structures and they perform specific functions, different specific functions. So let us try to understand these one by one. First, parenchyma. Parenchyma is a simple permanent tissue. This parenchyma has three basic functions: that it stores the food, it synthesizes food, it stores the food, and it also transports food within the plant's body. Synthesizing food, most of you have studied in your previous classes. How do plants synthesize food? Plants are called autotrophs. They prepare their food on their own through a process called photosynthesis. So the cells, some of the cells get together in groups in the form of a tissue which synthesizes food through photosynthesis. So parenchyma has one function. First function is synthesizing the food. Second function is storing the food. Food is usually stored in the green, it is prepared in the green parts, stored in the bulky parts of the stem, that may be in the fruits and other part of the stem, and storing the food, then transporting the food. Though food is prepared by the leaves, majority it is prepared by the leaf through photosynthesis and other green parts of the plant, it has to be transported to different parts of the plant to be utilized. So parenchyma has three functions: synthesis of food, storage of food, and transport of food. Parenchyma. And this parenchyma tissues, cells are live cells. All cells are living cells. Because they are living only, they can perform all these three functions. As I said, they can help in synthesis of food, storage of food, and transport of food. The second type of simple permanent tissue is collenchyma. This collenchyma tissue is basically present in the flexible parts of the plant. Flexible, what do you understand by that? Flexible means can be bent without breaking. If a stiff part, if you bend, it breaks. But there are some parts in the plants like tendrils. Tendrils help in capturing the support, twining around the support, and help the plant to climb or creep. So tendrils are very flexible. Similarly, some tender parts of the stem, including leaves, these are all very flexible in the plants. So this flexibility is because of collenchyma, which is a specific type of simple permanent tissue. So two types we have studied: simple permanent tissue, parenchyma we studied, which has three functions: synthesis of food, storage of food, and transport of food. Collenchyma is a flexible tissue, particularly present in tender parts of the plant and also in tendrils in creepers and climbers. The third type of simple permanent tissue is sclerenchyma. The sclerenchyma is a dead tissue, so it will be present in the hard parts of the plant. Hard parts of the plant, like for example, if you take coconut husk and also nuts, the coating of the nuts and hard parts of the plants, it is present. It is dead cells, so it will be hard in nature. That is one comparison. Another type of comparison is where they are present, what is their function. That is one type of comparison. Second type of comparison, how are the cells arranged in these three type of tissues. If you take parenchyma, the cells are loosely arranged. For example, if you observe a part of tissue under a microscope, cells are like this, arranged loosely. When cells are loosely arranged, what do you find? You find gaps between the cells. There are intercellular spaces or gaps between the cells. So this tissue, parenchyma, the cells are loosely packed, giving room to intercellular spaces. When it comes to collenchyma, cells are closely arranged. When the cells are closely arranged, the gap between the cells is minimized. Intercellular spaces are minimized and they are thickened at the corners. Thickening at the corners. Less intercellular spaces are present in the parenchyma tissue. And finally, if you see the sclerenchyma, there are no intercellular spaces at all. Cells are compactly arranged closely, touching one to one, avoiding intercellular spaces, and most of these sclerenchyma cells are dead cells. Out of the three types of simple permanent tissue, parenchyma and collenchyma have live cells, whereas sclerenchyma have dead cells. And sclerenchyma is present in coconut husk, coconut shell, and nuts. All the hard parts of the plant contain sclerenchyma. These are the three different types of simple permanent tissue. Why they are called as simple tissue? Because all the cells are similar and they have similar function. So simple structure and similar function. When it comes to complex permanent tissue, as I told you in the beginning itself, complex in the sense there are different types of cells in the same tissue which ultimately perform the same function. Let us try to understand what are the different types of complex permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissue is of two types. There are two types of complex permanent tissue. One is xylem, the other one is phloem. Xylem and phloem are two types of complex permanent tissue. This tissue particularly performs the function of transporting the food. So it's called as vascular tissue, or commonly called as vascular bundles. So xylem and phloem are called as vascular bundles or vascular tissue, and their function is transporting food and water in the plants. So let us try to understand more details of complex permanent tissue. What is the structure? What are the different types of cells present in them? Okay. So complex permanent tissue, two types. One, xylem. It is complex because xylem is made up of four types of cells. What are the four types of cells? One, tracheids. Two, vessels. Three, xylem parenchyma. Four, xylem fibers. Xylem is a type of complex permanent tissue. Complex because it has four different types of cells in it. But all the cells are combinedly working for the same purpose, that is transporting water. Xylem transports water and minerals. As you all know, water and minerals are obtained by the plant or absorbed by the plant through roots. Roots are present underground. So from the soil, from the ground, roots absorb water and minerals, and these water and minerals are transported from the roots to different parts of the plants, different parts of the stem, different branches, different leaves. Each and every part of the plant needs water and minerals that is obtained by the root and transported upwards against the gravity from the roots to different parts of the stem. The function of xylem is to transport water and minerals, and that is performed by four different types of cells: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. Here one thing is, except xylem parenchyma, the other three types of cells are dead cells. Xylem parenchyma are live cells. Okay? As we have discussed in simple permanent tissue, what is the function of parenchyma? Can you recollect? I told you there are three functions. Parenchyma has three functions. First function is synthesis of food, second function is storing the food, third function is transporting the food. Here xylem parenchyma helps in transporting the food. Okay? Tracheids and vessels actually help in transport of water and minerals. Xylem parenchyma is a live tissue, other three are dead tissue. The second type of complex permanent tissue is phloem. Phloem is also complex because there are four types of cells present in it: tracheids, sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Phloem, the second type of complex permanent tissue, is made up of 4 different types of cells: sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. So this helps in transport of food. Food is synthesized in the process called photosynthesis by the plants. So in photosynthesis, which parts are actively participating? The leaves, green leaves, because chlorophyll is present in them. So food is synthesized by the leaves. Leaves are present in the stem only, so upper part, above the ground. So the food which is synthesized by the leaves has to be transported to different parts of the stem, and that function is performed by phloem, the second type of complex permanent tissue or vascular tissue or vascular bundles. Now this transport of food or starch has another name, translocation. Translocation. Transportation of food or starch by phloem is also called as translocation. Transport of water and minerals is by xylem. Transport of food or starch is by phloem. There is a difference in this. Xylem transports water from roots to different parts of the plant, where are the other parts of the plants above the ground. That means from roots to other parts of the plants against the gravity to different parts. Whereas phloem transports food or starch in different directions. It may be from top to bottom or bottom to top, one side to another side. In all directions it is able to transport food. That's why it's called as translocation. One location to another location, translocation. Collectively these two tissues, xylem and phloem, are called as complex tissue, complex permanent tissue, because they have different types of cells in them. All the cells are not similar. As you have studied in simple permanent tissue, parenchyma, all the cells are similar, collenchyma, all the cells are similar, sclerenchyma also, all the cells are similar. Here the cells are different, but collectively they have the same function. That's why it's called complex permanent tissue. So this is about the second type of plant tissue, that is permanent tissue. So I'd like to show you a small chart which gives more clarity of classification of complex permanent tissue. Okay. Look at this chart. I have shown this chart in the previous topic also. Plant tissues are basically classified into 2 types, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue we have studied in the previous chapter. Its classification I have explained. Now today we studied about permanent tissue. See the classification of permanent tissue. Permanent tissue, cells are incapable of division, they are mature cells. When the meristematic tissue gets matured, stops dividing, then it becomes permanent tissue. I told you in the previous class. So this permanent tissue is basically of 2 types, simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue composed of single type of cells. All the cells are similar, same type. Complex permanent tissue composed of more than one type of cells. As we have seen, xylem, 4 type of cells, phloem, 4 different types of cells. So it's called complex permanent tissue. Now how the simple permanent tissue is classified? It's classified into 4 types: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Parenchyma basically has 3 functions: synthesis of food, storage of food, and transport of food. Mostly it is present in all the leaves and also in the vascular bundles. Collenchyma is present in flexible parts of the plants like tendrils, tender stems, and also in leaves. And its flexible tissue can be bent without breaking. Sclerenchyma is made up of dead cells. It's present in coconut shell, coconut husk, and all the tough parts of the plants like seed coat. It's present. Now coming to the complex permanent tissue, it's of 2 types, xylem and phloem. Here only 2 names are given, but I have mentioned all the 4 names on the board. Xylem helps in the transport of water and minerals, and it is made up of 4 different types of cells: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. Phloem transports food or starch synthesized by the leaves through photosynthesis, and it also is made up of 4 different types of cells: sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. And the transport of food or starch by phloem is called translocation because it is transported in all different directions. A leaf on the right hand side of the plant synthesizes food, it may be transported to left hand side of the plant. A leaf on the tip of the stem synthesizes starch, that may be transported downwards. So in all directions food is moving, so it's also called as translocation. Whereas xylem transport is only one direction, against the gravity from roots to different parts of the plants. So collectively these two, xylem and phloem, are called as vascular tissue or vascular bundles. So this is about complex, this is a permanent tissue, children. Permanent tissue types, their functions I have explained in detail. So I suggest please go through your textbook. Each and every term you try to understand, and also watch my video carefully. We will have an interaction in online class and you have to write an assignment on this. Okay? Thank you.